Today, on day 5 of my pilgrimage from the Holy Land, this is the church at Bethlehem. Behind me, to the left, is the Greek Orthodox and Armenian churches, and slightly to this side of me is the Catholic Church. I'll show you my entrance into the Holy Temple, or the Holy Creche, where Jesus himself was born, or where tradition says he was born, and a few other things. Thanks for watching. This is Father Bill Kessler, the Technopriest. What you see before you now is the security fence that is in Israel. It is to prevent suicide bombers from coming across the border and entering into Jerusalem and the other holy places. Very shortly, you're going to hear Father Bill Burton mention our tour guide, Yair, who is an Israeli, but who cannot enter into Palestinian territories because he wouldn't be allowed to be a tour guide otherwise.
I just want to make sure that you understand that Yair is not allowed into the Palestinian territories. On occasion he can get in, but in this capacity as a guide, he has to wait for us as we enter Palestine. Just as I imagine our bus driver has to do the same thing to go into Israel. It's an issue of a border that is not quite hostile, but it's not quite friendly either. It's simply the political situation that each side has to make concessions. For the majority of Israel, of course, Yair goes anywhere he wants.
This is the Church of the Shepherd's Field. It is a church remembering that place where the shepherds first saw the star, as you can see at the top of the church there. This is a chapel in a cave, very similar to what where the shepherds would have been hiding, sheltering their flocks. Very often you will find groups saying Mass in these places. When I was here in '98, we actually said Mass in either this cave or the one right next to it. And this is kind of the plaza in front of those, where multiple caves are and they have multiple Masses. In fact, in the one directly in front of you, where you see that gentleman taking a picture right now, that's Deacon Al Lobbs. He is, we're right above a group that we had been kind of running into here and there, and they were saying Mass at that time. Our group's kind of milling around. We will actually say Mass in another place here in a bit. And here we are in the Church of the Nativity. This would be the Eastern Orthodox Church. You can kind of tell by many of the accoutrements, the different chandeliers, and the fact that there are no pews. This is maintained by the Eastern Orthodox and the Armenians. They both claim ownership of it to varying levels. Very often they even disagree on how they should clean the place. But it is an amazing church. It's been there for a very long time. The patches on the wall that you saw a little bit earlier are remnants of mosaics. Not mosaics, but what do they call it? Frescoes that have been there for a very long time. The church has been through much, not only violence of the modern age, but also ancient violence. It's one of the few churches that survived the Persian invasion for a couple of different reasons. And as we explain those reasons, I'll point those out to you. One of those reasons is these doors. These doors are very, very low and do not allow for a horse to get through. Normally you would have a door that would be very easy to step through, but horses can't walk through this, and so that was one of the reasons. The other reason was on the western wall of this church, they had 3 men in Persian garb, the 3 Magi, the 3 men who saw the star and came from the east. And so I guess it was actually the eastern-facing wall. When the Persians invaded, they saw these men in Persian garb and said, "Oh, these must be friendly to us." So they left the church intact. Here we are at the entrance to the Nativity Chamber. And so you'll see different things here and there. I just kept the camera rolling. I tried to keep it rolling during the entire time we were there, just so that you could see the different elements. Those chandeliers were gifts from the Tsar. The smaller one is a gift from the Tsarina. The larger one was a gift from her husband, the Tsar. This is during the time when there were Tsars in Russia, And this is the Eastern Orthodox iconoclast, iconostasis, Eastern Orthodox people, I apologize. But it's the wall of icons behind which they confect the Eucharist. It's where they celebrate their Eucharist. And because they emphasize the mystery of that sacrament, it is done behind that wall, which represents different moments in Jesus' life. The space here is very crowded. The young man that you will see here in just a moment, or may not be able to see. I tried to get you can see I'm still figuring out the camera here. But we actually had a young man who met us over there. Since our Israeli guide couldn't take us in, we met up with that gentleman right there. He is our Palestinian guide, and he did an excellent job. Was very insightful into the struggles that the Palestinians themselves face. It's a broken country. If only they could leave behind the struggles of the past and could acknowledge that they were stronger together, but they can't, and it's just so sorrowful. Just as broken as Israel and Palestine are, so too are we Christians. Like I mentioned earlier, the Armenians and the Byzantines, or not Byzantines, but the Eastern Orthodox, they argue over this space because they both use it. If only we would not divide the body of Christ, how much better would we be? But just as divided the church is, so too the rest of the world. I'll let you kind of listen to some of the noises as we move forward here.
We can see the silver star to the right side and the angel to the left. So please, I need there for you. When you finish, we should leave to the left. Have another exit. Who finish first, we should stay at the miniature for the further explanation. So when you leave the cave, please wait at the top of the cave, at the top of the steps for the further explanation. So we'll go down from the entrance and we'll wait at the top of the church.
Смотрите, прежде всего вот это вот то, что я говорила,
And here we are ever closer to the cave in which Jesus was born. We're getting closer and closer. Now what we'll do here in a bit is actually begin to descend into the cave. You should get a pretty good picture of that as we do so. And the little star that you will see here in a bit will be the place where we remember that Jesus was born. I will turn back on the microphone so you can listen to this and hear as we descend.
Like I'm trying to walk past the Pope's body. Just kind of slow.
So here we've rounded the corner and we are just about to enter into the cave. My cousins and I have a little bit of a conversation here, and I'll let you listen into it. We talk about basil and a number of other things. Hope you enjoy it.
Somebody put a pot of basil up there. That's interesting.
Why would that be interesting?
Well, it's not the typical flower, you know.
Yeah.
Basil and, well, there's a couple. It looks like maybe there's a bunch of herbs. Some tradition that I'm not,
Yeah.
I don't know about.
Tradition from another
Yeah.
branch of the Christian family. And just like other siblings, we
Do things differently.
bicker.
As long as they're all pointed the same way.
Let's hope.
This marble work is amazing.
Look, Gold Stick did some of the construction. Look at the cord just stuck up there. We had an old apartment, and all the phone lines were just kind of run along the bottom of the wall, paint over, paint over, paint over. Every time I see something like that.
Constantine's mother was in her 80s when he sent her here. Yes, you're old woman. She was in her 80s.
I've also heard that he wanted to get her out of the imperial court. No, really, that she was causing problems. Go build churches.
Well,
Go to the True Cross Mall.
Well, that she had been Christian, was pushing him. He had not really converted, just
Correct.
allowed Christianity, and that she was causing problems.
The switch. Huh?
It's okay.
I use my long lens for everything, so that's what I did. That's what I did. It was a 50 to 200.
Because I missed the story about the door was so short.
All of the doors that enter the subway are very short to prevent horses. He has it reversed because of the Persian problem. We want to make sure they never happen again. The other story is humble yourself before the king.
That I like too. Yeah, I humble myself.
Well, I bang my head frequently with that.
Which is awesome.
That's the automatic.
As the
Everybody see that?
perspective has totally changed. The wife of a tall person.
Give me that bicycle.
На потолке, там перламутровая. Когда-то там была золотая звезда с драгоценными камнями, бриллиантами, с изумрудами. В 1854 году католикам удалось подкупить турецкие власти и забрать ключи от входных дверей себе. То есть фактически они захватили церковь. И как раз в это время переделки исчезла та драгоценная звезда. Православные приняли католиков, православных. Власти турецкие вмешались в конфликт, закончилось это тем, что вспыхнула война. Русско-турецкая война, вот одна из причин этой войны была как раз пропажа этих звезд. Потом, конечно, в итоге погибли тысячи русских людей, и в 1856 году ключи были возвращены в православной церкви, и одной из воли мира русско-турецкого было
So please have the star and then the major, and when you give the sword and the you will have, and wait for the other So I have Michael League, he has just 3 people, don't take pictures and to leave. I have Michael League, thank you, you can have them here. Thank you so much. Just 3 people, thank you.
Olha pra cá. Isso. Olha o que tá bem. Toca. Assim, toca a estrela, por favor. Olha pra cá. Olha pra cá. Isso. Cuidado. O senhor também. Toca lá e olha pra cá. Muito bem. Ótimo. Thank you. Thank you. Muito obrigado. From my group of feel that when I move nations to the left,
Okay, well, that's confused. I'm not gonna do it. Yeah? With my knees? Yeah, that's it.
this is my group, let's do it. This is my group. Where's the other one group? Right here. Okay. Come on, man. Squeeze them all. Squeeze them all.
Go out up here. We headed out that way. I was asking you. I wasn't sure.
I'm trying to.
Okay, no, that's what I was wondering if you were going to take one.
Yep. Nope. I'm headed up.
I got something.
Good. If you want it, you can have it.
So as we
went
come
to do
out on
something and said, for us all to stay
the birth
here.
site of Jesus, you can actually hear some music in the background, and that is the Roman Catholic community who is celebrating Sunday Mass. Having left Bethlehem, now we have returned to the Mount of Olives. And here we are. We've just gone from the place where he was born to the Mount of the Ascension, to the Chapel of the Ascension on the Mount of Olives, where Jesus is commemorated to have ascended into heaven. It's an interesting building. It's a former Byzantine church, but it actually is a mosque. It's an interesting place, this Jerusalem. It has major religions. It has the Jewish people, the Islamic people, and of course we Christians. But they let us use that occasionally to celebrate Mass, and it is a place on the top of the Mount of Olives where we remember that Jesus ascended into heaven.
Right, I noticed on the rock sidewalk, and I think I hit on Well, watch that, my knee's starting to hurt. But my knees.
Oh, it's rainy weather.
Yeah.
Knees hurt on these days.
Yeah, well, it's just in the side.
So we mentioned this as a chapel of ascension, and what we mark here is the ascension of Jesus. 40 days after the resurrection, right? Now we all remember this rock. See this rock? This is the summit. This is the real mountain. You saw another rock yesterday. Remember the Transfiguration? Remember we celebrated Mass? So here you want to imagine whatever you want to imagine. But maybe you want to just see a footprint. Yeah, just there's an outline here of the footprint. Can you see that? So if you want to have a visual image, maybe this could be it. I don't know if you noticed, we entered a mosque, really a mosque. I mean, this is, and we mentioned before that the Muslim always incorporated into their theology both the previous Bibles, Jewish and let's say the Old and New Testament. Okay, they incorporated because they said that their Quran finally corrected. So wherever there's a holy site for Judah, let's say Jewish or Christian, they always use it. So they own this property. And you can see this indentation here. It implies it's a mosque. It faces right. So once a year, actually, the Franciscan have here on Day of Ascension, they get sort of, let's say, permission to use this place. There's a certain arrangements here. Outside.
So we left the Chapel of the Ascension and found, well, just this incredible view. Very shortly we will descend the Mount of Olives. Here I am descending the Mount of Olives to the place, the chapel, where we commemorate the place where Jesus wept before the city of Jerusalem. Here is a reading from the Gospel of Luke. And now he was approaching the slope of the Mount of Olives. The whole multitude of his disciples began to praise God aloud with joy for all the mighty deeds they had seen. They proclaimed, "Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord. Peace in heaven and glory to the highest." Some of the Pharisees in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, rebuke your disciples." He said in reply, "I tell you, if they keep silent, the stones will cry out." As he drew near, he saw the city and wept over it. From Luke's Gospel, we come to the chapel of Dominus Flevit. The Lord weeps. This chapel is very similar to the chapel that we saw in Bethlehem as they were designed by the same architect. It is the picture, or is the place where I got the picture of the flag, and it has one of the most beautiful scenes. You can see from this point the three major sites in Jerusalem: the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, Temple Mount, and all of, you can see right below it, although I'm not sure if I had a picture of it, you can see the bottom of the Mount of Olives, which is Gethsemane, and all those sites upon which so much is founded. The Jewish people in their temple, the Islamic people in the site of Muhammad's ascension, and most importantly for us, the place where Jesus had his passion, his death, and ultimately his resurrection. No. Before. Here you see the eastern gate of the city of Jerusalem, from which the Messiah is supposed to come. As a deterrent to that, the Islamic rulers closed those gates. And these are scenes from the Garden of Gethsemane, the place where Jesus' passion came to its beginning, where Judas came and betrayed the Lord. But first, he prayed, as we commemorate during Passion Sunday, and again at the celebration of Good Friday. Indeed, right now, someone during the season of Advent, this is a parish church for the religious community, and they were just finishing up Mass when we got there. That is a stone where people believe that Jesus prayed prior to his betrayal by Judas Iscariot. Next, we'll be entering into the old city of Jerusalem.
Walking into the old city of Jerusalem through the Jaffa Gate. City of Jerusalem.
And from the old city of Jerusalem, this is Father Bill Kessler wishing you God's blessings.
SQPN, the best in Catholic podcasting.